Hi, guys. Welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. I'm here with Elijah Weintraub, my trusted partner, and it's March 8th, 2025. Eli, good morning.
Good morning, Jim. Happy March 8th. It's already the second week of March. This is absolutely insane. This is absolutely crazy. And
Yep.
we lose an hour tonight as the hours go ahead 1 hour. So I guess
Good
that's something to
public,
look forward to.
yeah, good public service banner right there because some
Yeah.
people might not even have forgotten that you got to set your clock.
I mean, we're all gonna forget soon, but yeah.
Well, anyway, Eli, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. And then, of course, we always start our show with the monologue, which is yours this week, and it's sponsored by Coriano Trucking. So take it away.
All right, thanks, Jim. And of course, this was a rough week to be a Seattle Seahawks fan. Why? Well, you just lost your top wide receiver, possibly even two if a trade goes through, and QB1. On Wednesday, the Seahawks announced that they are releasing Tyler Lockett, one of their top wide receivers. Following that moment, after the poster release, DK Metcalf announced that he requested a trade from Seahawks. Now, no team has officially signed him on yet, so he's technically still a Seattle Seahawk and still has 1 year left in his contract with Seattle. So we will find out what he does sooner or later. And just last night, Geno Smith gets traded to the Las Vegas Raiders in exchange for a 2025 third round pick, a crucial third round pick. The storyline is Geno Smith is reunited with Pete Carroll. That is the bottom line. Now, how do I
Well,
look at this and how do I feel as a Seahawks fan? Well, we knew we needed a new quarterback. It was going to be a matter of time. Geno Smith wasn't exactly the Seahawks answer, but at the same time, I did not expect this year. Why? The quarterback market in the draft this year is not the greatest.
very
You look
light.
at everybody else that is left that is still not either re signed with the team or is technically a free agent. There's not much out there. Technically, it could be Sam Darnold because he's likely to become a free agent. It could likely be Aaron Rodgers. It could likely be who do we have left? Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. There's a ton of options.
Kirk
I don't
Cousins.
think it's going to be Rodgers. Could be Kirk Cousins. I don't think it's Rodgers. I don't even think it's Fields or Wilson. I think it's likely going to be Sam Darnold to become the next Seattle Seahawk. Do I think it's the best decision that we're freeing up all this money for? No. I don't think personally that we're giving up this much money for this guy. I don't think it's the right move, right choice. I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of other problems the Seahawks have to fix. The O line, for example, is the big struggle right now with Seattle that needs to be fixed. We now have a couple wide receivers we now have to fix up. This is a big mess, and I don't think that to free up this much money for Sam Darnold is the answer. Yes, he's young, but I just don't see it. I mean, if you looked at last year's numbers with Minnesota, they had disappointing run at the end, including the playoffs. The
Yeah.
big games that mattered most were unable to win. What is the plan for Seattle? That is the big question. I'm sad to see Tyler Lockett go. I hope DK doesn't leave, but if he does, you know, he has to go. But
Yeah.
Tyler Lockett really gonna miss. Overall, a lot of work needs to be done. The draft is gonna be the big question. Do they draft somebody? Do they sign somebody? A lot of big questions remained. I just know that it's been a rough week to be a Seahawks fan.
Okay. Well, listen, and that's a good take on stuff. And what this reminds me of, and actually, I had some notes that I was going to bring up during the monologue. It just goes to show you that sports is a business, and the business here is with Seattle and everything else. And you go back in time, you remember the Dallas Cowboys traded Herschel Walker, and they got a ton of draft picks, and that turned out to be Troy Aikman and Emmett Smith and all that, and they built the dynasty back in the '90s. So it's a business, plain and simple. Same thing with the Doncic and Davis trade. It's all about um, trying to win a championship. And like I said, sometimes we're going to talk a little bit about because there was a lot of movement in the NHL and trades and so forth. And,
Right.
you know, perfect example, Brad Marchand, who's kind of been the face of the Boston Bruins for
Yes.
many, many
And he
years.
gets traded.
He gets traded. And
Well, let's jump into that. We'll go right to the NHL. Let's talk about that, and then we'll go to the NFL again.
yep.
Uh,
And when you want to think about it as a business, one last point, you'll have to look no further than the Boston Red Sox selling Babe Ruth to the New York Yankees back in 1923. I mean, it's just a business. Can I tell?
Absolutely. And we'll go right into the NHL, and then we'll get back to the NFL in a second. But to your point, Jim, that was one of the biggest trades of the weekend, of the week, really.
Yep.
Matt Marchand to the Panthers, reuniting with Chuck. That's phenomenal. I think that Florida's going to be a hot team right now. I mean, they're already hot. They're second place in the Eastern Conference, 39, 21-3 with 81 points, 9 behind Washington in first place.
Yep.
I think that Florida just became the new number 1 team now.
And
this,
when you
this
see
really
trades like this, just to know that it's a business, because when you look at the Marchand deal, I mean, he's had battles with Kachuk, he's had battles with Sam Bennett, and now they're teammates.
Right.
And in hockey, we know that there's, they're a cohesive unit as there is in sports. And,
right.
So they're going to have to put their old past grudges behind. And, they're probably going to be the favorite to repeat as Stanley Cup champions. Because
right.
Yep.
Other trades that happened this week in the NHL, the top big trade that we've seen, Islanders trade Brock Nelson and William Dufour to the Avalanche as they receive Calum Rich, Oliver Kylington, and a 2026 first round and 2028 third round picks.
Yep.
That also happened.
Trades weren't lost on the Rangers either. They dealt Ryan Lindgren and Jimmy Vesey.
Yep.
So this is, again, they're trying to find the right chemistry. The Rangers over the past month have been the second best team in the NHL from a record perspective, but there's some pieces that are missing and they're just trying to find it. So, the roster has changed dramatically for the Rangers over the past couple of weeks when they dealt Trouba first and now Lindgren and Vesey and Riley Smith. And you got to find that unit that's going to play together, because you and I have talked about it a ton of times that the Stanley Cup is the hardest trophy to win
in sports. And it's the most physical, demanding game. You're always skating. It's a lot of work than you think.
You bet.
Now, other news, non-trade wise, that happened in the NHL. Jack Hughes in New Jersey Devils, he suffered another shoulder injury after getting banged up in the boards during the Vegas Golden Knights game. He had surgery, successful surgery, and now is placed under long-term injured reserve. He is expected to return for training camp next year. A bad loss once again for the New Jersey Devils. They had a horrible loss last night, 6-1 to Winnipeg. Yep. So that goes to show you what kind of player Jack Hughes was. He just competed with Team USA in the Four Nations face-off.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because he's one of the up-and-coming stars that you just, from an NHL perspective, you love to see this young talent, and, he's certainly made a name for himself already, and he's a very young kid. So hopefully he can recover from that. Yeah.
Yes. A couple other news. NHL Stadium Series averaging 1.6 million views over on ESPN. A really great venue with great vibes over at the Horseshoe. A really great game, and it was exciting because both Columbus and Detroit were fighting for top wildcard spots, and they still are currently at the moment.
Yep.
The Utah Hockey Club will take on the Vegas Golden Knights on December 23rd, 2026 in the NHL Stadium Series, which will take place at Smith's Ballpark in Utah. It can hold up to 16,500 fans.
Mm-hmm.
And Ovechkin is now only 11 goals away from Gretzky's record.
10.
Yeah.
I was kind of watching it because he scored against the Rangers the other night. And, again, we've talked about this a lot. He will eventually break this record, but it'll never change the title of the greatest hockey player of all time by Wayne Gretzky.
That is Wayne Gretzky. So, and Tom Pugh joins in the conversation. He says, "Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, Tom. And feel free, anybody, to comment. Leave us a hello or any thoughts that we talked about, including our monologue with the NFL or the NHL. And we'll be soon getting into the NFL, many more topics in just a little bit.
And we'll be talking a little bit more about college basketball. But I know that Tom Pugh right there, he's a big Indiana guy, and they're kind of on the bubble, whether or not they're going to get in or not. They've been playing better as of late. So good luck to the Hoosiers and the selection committee next Sunday night.
Yes. Right? Yes. Yeah. All right,
Eli.
So let's maybe go to the NFL. Possibly, let's recap everything.
A lot of stuff to talk about.
All right.
Give us updates here.
Well, I got a whole list, so I'm going to go one by one through the list I currently have, and we could discuss it. And then whatever I miss, Jim will take care of from there. Packers, Mason Crosby, and Bengals Sam Hubbard announced their retirement from the NFL. That was the first big stories of the week.
Wow, long-time kicker for the Packers. That's
yes.
for sure. Yeah.
We do have another comment before I continue. Tom Pugh, big game today for the Hoosiers. OSU at home.
Yes, sir. It is. They can't afford to lose one more game down this in the next week, Tom.
Yeah. A couple releases. Titans release Harold Landry. Jaguars release Titan Evan Ingram, which I thought was a big name too. Jets release Devontae Adams. Eagles release Darius Slay. Bengals release Alex Capa. Chargers release Joey Bosa, a defensive end. Two big names from the list of release. Evan Ingram from the Jaguars and Joey Bosa, the defensive end from the Jaguars. Two Chargers, big names.
Chargers, yeah. And you got to wonder whether or not, Bosa's been, he's battled a lot of injuries over the course of time. He's a great player for sure. And a couple other notes, when you think about it, you look at Trey Henderson in Cincinnati. He's on the currently on the trading block. He's one of the better defensive players in the league. So Eli, just like we said, it's a business.
It's a business, and it's all about the money.
Yeah, and in this case, they're going to have to sign Chase, and they're going to try to sign Higgins. So they're going to have to, somebody else has to take the fall. It looks like Hendrickson, but don't think he's going to be on the free agent market for very long. He's still a solid player. Absolutely.
Diego checks in. He says hello. Good morning, Diego.
Morning, Senor Cruz. Good morning.
Yes. Other topics, other trades that happened. Chiefs traded guard Joey Thuney to the Bears. And the biggest one of the week, Deebo Samuel gets traded to from the 49ers to the Washington Commanders. I love it. And I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to talk about that one. I really do love it. I think Washington is going to win the division next year. I've said it right from the beginning. Because as we all know, in the NFC East, there is no repeating division winner. So we definitely know it ain't going to be the Eagles next year. I could tell you it ain't the Giants. Because we know that's not how I apologize for all Giants, but we know it ain't you guys. Maybe Dallas if we're lucky, but no, it is 100% going to be, I think in my opinion, it's going to be the Washington Commanders to win it all. They are the team to look out for.
Well, you have to wonder, though, how much, this guy Samuel, he held out a couple of years ago. They did pay him, but he's kind of underperformed over the past couple of seasons. But maybe he gets a little life back in his game with playing with Jaden Daniels.
Right.
Yeah, that's a big move for the NFC East, definitely.
Commanders re-signed Bobby Wagner to a 1-year, $9.5 million deal. Eagles re-signed linebacker Zach Bond to a 3-year, $51 million deal. And a big one again, Eagles signed Saquon Barkley, 2-year, $42 million deal. Yep. Boy, is Saquon Barkley just glad to get out of New York and to be a Philadelphia Eagle, that's for sure.
He's living large now. I would say. He's living large. Yep.
Absolutely.
And one other quick
Buccaneer.
One other signing, Eli. And we're talking big money now. Max Crosby with the Raiders gets 3 years, $106 million, the highest non-paid, non-quarterback contract in the history of the NFL. Wow.
Pretty insane.
Well, now we'll see if Geno Smith can lead the Raiders to the playoffs.
I don't think so. The other two stories that happened here, Buccaneers signed linebacker Levante David to a 1-year, $10 million deal. And the biggest news of all, Tommy DeVito re-signs with the New York Giants. I think every Giants fan should be so happy about that move and should be on their feet giving applause to the general management. What a move.
Oh, what a blockbuster deal that was for Joe Shane. I can't explain it.
I know we criticized him plenty times before, but wow, what a move.
Well, listen, as every day goes by, Eli, because both you and I are on the record, you for one way and me the other, that Aaron Rodgers is not going to be a Giant, but he's still out there. We still don't have a quarterback. I would prefer to take either Justin Fields or even a Kirk Cousins. I don't want anything to do. So I'm holding true, but there was some rumor mill stuff this week, and I don't want this guy either. I don't want Kyler Murray coming to New York because I don't think he's a winner.
You're gonna get
I
Aaron
think
Rodgers, my friend. I'm gonna say it right for
uh,
you. I'm gonna keep on repeating it. You ain't getting Sam Darnold. The Giants ain't getting no Sam Darnold. That's gonna be now a new Seattle Seahawks. Even though I know it's not worth the money, but he's gonna be a
we don't
Seattle
know
Seahawks.
that yet. We don't know. Every day that goes
I
by, it's
I
good news
I
for me.
know, but Jim, I think I know this very well right now. I think Aaron Rodgers becomes a New York Giant, and I think Sam Darnold becomes a Seattle Seahawk.
Well, if they do sign Aaron Rodgers, then Joe Shane is signing his own exit papers because this is not going, this is not the stopgap you want. And does that mean then now the Giants have to go out and where Rodgers goes, Adams goes? I mean, what are we doing here? We saw
Yes,
it didn't work
they're a
last
dynamic
year.
duo. They must stick together.
Didn't work, didn't work, didn't work.
It's like the song, "The Two Birds of a Feather."
Yeah. All right, Eli, let's touch base a little bit on baseball. And of course, we brought it up last week that Luis Heel, the reigning rookie of the year in the American League, is battling some sort of a condition. He's going to be out for 3 months. And then right on the heels of that yesterday, Garrett Cole. He's got issues with his elbow again. And we saw this last year. He didn't start the season, and then he was ineffective. I mean, he's got the most wins by any pitcher since 2018 in the major leagues. He's a reigning Cy Young Award winner. But you know what? When you get up to this age, I think Garrett Cole's got to probably be 33, maybe 34. He can't bounce back from these injuries. So that's a big blow to the Yankees, who didn't really make a lot of splashes in the free agent market, and they're
Right.
going into the season. And now you got these big question marks. So
A lot of question marks.
yeah, big time.
Yeah. And we're just short 10 days away now from opening day in Tokyo. It'll be the Dodgers in Tokyo to open up everything. And we talked about this before the show started, Jim, and I
Yep.
agree with this point, and I'm going to stick with it. I think opening day should be a start in the US or Canada, because again, MLB is also in Canada with the Toronto Blue Jays. We cannot forget them.
Mhm.
They need to start in either the US or Canada. We should not be starting in places like Tokyo, London, and all these other places. I get it. We're trying to go international. I love the idea and everything, but there's something special about opening day at your home park or in a home US area stadium or Canadian stadium.
Yep.
There's something about it. We shouldn't be jumping to conclusion, jumping right away to an international game. I think it's too early. There's plenty of baseball to play. It's the longest seasons, longest sport length-wise
Yeah.
ever.
162
So
games. Yeah.
that's my point. I just think that we are really rushing it when in terms of trying to get international start. I get it. Maybe it's for the viewership purpose, maybe just to avoid the playoffs with the NHL and the NBA combining together at one point, but still.
Well, I think what's going on, and I do agree with you. I mean, I remember it was always the Cincinnati Reds were always the first one to open the Major League Baseball season. And when you think about it, why is this happening? Well, just look at the amount of Japanese players that are coming into the major league. So that is what they're trying to do. They're trying to compete on an international level. And look, they're going to get tons of viewership because of the fact that there's a lot of Japanese players. And you and I, like I said, we talked about it before. Money is involved here. And who bigger in the game right now than Shohei Ohtani? So I think I can understand Manfred's direction of where he's trying to go, but I agree. I'm a traditionalist by nature, and I believe this is America's pastime. The season should start in America. I agree with you 100%.
Tom comments, it made me laugh. It's about avoiding tariffs.
Yeah. Tom
There's
is very
you can always add
here.
like a little plug and a tie,
Yeah, that's
all
right.
for a
Very good
purpose.
comment, my friend. Very good
Yeah.
comment. They're going to raise the price of baseballs 250%, right? Something like that. Whatever.
Jeez.
Of
course.
One other quick thing I wanted to bring up. because we're talking about the money that's being spent, right? The amount, the $700 million players, both Otani and Soto, and now Vlad Guerrero is looking to get that same kind of contract. And I looked up his stats, and then he's 6 years in this league. He's a 288 hitter. He's only driven in 100 runs 2 seasons. So he's not going to command that kind of money. And I don't see him being the most sought after free agent, especially if he's looking
Right.
for 600 or 700 million dollars. You have to ask yourself. And we talked a little bit about like the young guns like Bobby Witt Jr. and the kid in Cincinnati, Dela Cruz, and the money is. I think this $700 million thing is a one and done for Soto, and I don't think that's gonna. I don't think he's gonna command anywhere near that money, and unless Steve Cohen wants to pay him and have
He will.
one, you know,
It's
God,
the New York Mets, Jim. They'll do anything.
yeah, I know, but we're conceivably looking at possibly two players with $700 million contracts. It's absurd, and that's why you can't go to a baseball game with a family of four. It's too expensive.
No, it's too expensive. It used to be the best thing to go to. I mean, you know what? Hey, there's always the New Jersey Jackals, the Yankees minor league affiliate down in
Yep.
Somerset, the Patriots, and I can tell you, they're great games. They still have your traditional hot dogs and peanuts and cracker jacks, whatever you usually get at your baseball game.
Yep.
It's still the same thing, and you get better view and better.
And we're close in New Jersey. We have a minor league team. The Rockland Boulders are very close here. I went to a game. It's reasonable. You can get a beer and a hot dog without breaking the bank. I
might be better. And maybe just sit on the couch and watch good old TV.
I know. All right, Eli. So
let's go to the NBA and then we'll jump to college basketball.
Go ahead.
All right, let's go to the NBA. Cavaliers clinched the first spot in the playoffs after having a record of 53-10. They're the first team to do so. However, no team has been officially eliminated yet, although we will likely get the Wizards to be the first team to be eliminated first.
Yeah, and the Cavaliers it's the second time they've won 10 games in a row in a season. And
it's incredible.
The season. It's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
However, some sad news though. Kyrie Irving has suffered an ACL injury to his left knee, so he's going to be missing some time over with Dallas. Yeah. And the other news was LeBron James had a big confrontation with Stephen A. Smith the other day, telling him, "Don't talk about my son, Bronny James." This goes to show you, folks, how LeBron James controls the media, the NBA, and everything. Really,
I've told you that since we've been together. He is the commissioner, the general manager.
And I will continue to say this day after day, night after night. Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time. Kobe Bryant just right behind.
I don't disagree, but I mean James is up there. That was my monologue a couple of weeks ago. But when we talk about Miles
Curry any day over LeBron James.
Right, but listen, he got his 50,000th point. Nobody's ever done that. Combines regular season and playoff.
Yeah, great. Scoring. Congratulations. He still runs the NBA and everything else. It still
I know.
doesn't sign me up to sign the paper to say he's the greatest of all time.
And we also had another milestone for one of the marquee players in the league, Giannis Antetokounmpo, scored his 20,000th career point. So when you put that into perspective, I mean, Antetokounmpo's been around for probably 8 years now, and he's only got 20,000 points. So it's
yeah. Hey, but listen, like I said, I'm going to keep on saying it. Steph Curry to me is one of the greats of all time, and I think he'll be LeBron James in a heartbeat. But I could be wrong. Maybe you can disagree with me. Feel free to comment. Let us know about that. Who do you think?
Hey, Eli, one thing I saw, and it was kind of shocking to me. You just brought up Steph Curry. He dunked the ball for the first time since 2019.
Wow, what a stat.
I mean, it seems kind of silly, but I mean, this kid can jump and whatever, but he's so entrenched with shooting 3-point plays. But
that goes to show you how the NBA game has been changing, Jim. That goes to show you that we're now worried about shooting. Now our greatest 3-point shooters dunking now.
Yeah.
Folks, that's the type of game that we have now.
Yeah. And there's an interesting thing going on in the NBA right now as far as the potential MVP. And I think right now the consensus appears to be Shea Gilgeous-Alexander for Oklahoma City.
Right.
However, if you look at the night that Nikolai Jokic had last night, he had a 30-20-20 game. Never been done in the NBA history before. And this guy is a two-time MVP, probably should have been a three-time MVP. And, so that he's having statistics right now that are better than his MVP seasons. So that's going to come down to the wire. But I think a lot of it's going to be Oklahoma City Thunder is one of the top elite teams. The Nuggets have seemed to have fallen off a little bit, but you can't deny this guy Jokic is going to go down as one of the top big men in the history of the game.
Absolutely. No question.
Yep.
So now I think we'll move on to college basketball.
Yes.
We have some stuff to talk about there. We have a lot of big games. I always do my big games for today for the men's and the women's. I'll do that first, and we'll get to the rest of the points. For the men's side, St. John's and Marquette, 12 o'clock on Fox. Rick Pitino just appeared on Fallon this week on Thursday night, the Tonight Show, and he had a big win last week with Seton Hall in the white suit for the whiteout game. Kentucky, Missouri, 12 o'clock today on ESPN. Big game there. Alabama, Auburn, 2:30 on ESPN. Arizona, Kansas, 4:30 on ESPN. And Duke, North Carolina, 6:30 on ESPN. Over for the women's side, St. John's, UConn, 12 o'clock on FS1. UNC, North Carolina State, 12 o'clock on ESPN2. Duke, Notre Dame, 2:30 on ESPN2. Oklahoma, South Carolina, 4:30 on ESPN2. And LSU, Texas, 7 p.m. on ESPN2.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. I will note this now that you brought up the women's tournament, right? Stanford, perennial powerhouse in women's college basketball for many years. First time they will not be in the NCAA tournament. 1987 was the last time they missed.
They were able to do so.
Yeah, the balance of power in college basketball, and you're seeing like the Juju Watkins at USC and so forth, and obviously, South Carolina is always a powerhouse. Notre Dame was the number one team, and then they get knocked off, just like on the men's side, right? Last week, Auburn, the number one team, it looks like they're going to be the number one seed in the whole tournament, gets knocked off by Texas A&M. So, college basketball is in a great place right now. So you have the top four, right? You have Auburn, you have Duke, number 2. Tennessee up there, and like you said, St. John's out of nowhere, now the number 6 team in the nation. So we're gearing up for March Madness, and that Selection Sunday will be next week. And I'm sad to say that my Niagara Purple Eagles will probably not get an at-large bid.
Jim, I am very, very sorry about that.
Yeah,
maybe next year.
I was kind of hoping that they had a decent year, being that this was the year that former Niagara University player Hubie Brown steps away from the booth. But sometimes the stars.
Sometimes that's not how that works usually. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, I think it's time now for some random points. Sponsored by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut.
It is. I got a couple here.
I got a lot.
So first and foremost, and I'm not a big NFL pregame guy, but Jimmy Johnson is stepping away from the Bradshaw, the Long, and all that kind of stuff after 30 some odd years with Fox. I mean, this guy was, 3-time Super Bowl winning coach, or 2 times anyway. So you know what? He's going to go on his boat. He's going to fish. He's in his late 70s already. So good luck to him. He was pretty knowledgeable, certainly, on the game.
He was incredible, and congratulations on the job done over at the NFL on Fox. He's been there since the beginning, so congrats.
Yeah. And here's an interesting thing. Remember a while back we saw like Jay-Z was going to be the next super agent in sports and so forth. So one of the reigning, kings of music is this kid Bad Bunny, who now you got Fernando Tatis. You got who else does he sign? Ronald Acuna Jr. Francisco Alvarez from the Mets. So, now music and sports agency. I don't know what he knows about it, but that's quite a resume of players. So they're going to make a lot of money for this guy who already makes a lot of money. So
Yeah.
And Eli, I have one other one I wanted to bring up because we talked about it last week, and I'm happy to report we posted the little puppy that was up for adoption,
Yes.
and good news, that puppy has been adopted and found a little home. So
Great.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he a viewer from our Sports with Manavano show so we can get the commission there?
Right. We cover it all here. So, and we got a lot of good feedback from the staff at St. Joseph Medical Center in Paterson, New Jersey. So very happy to hear that.
Great. Excellent.
Go ahead,
All right.
Eli.
Let's start off with this. Well, on top of it, daylight savings beginning today with the hours heading ahead. Today's also International Women's Day. That is a big celebration of international women, and not just women overall. And today's just the international celebration of it. So yeah,
A lot of women out there. Yeah, sure.
USA Soccer announces that they will bid to host the 2031 FIFA Women's World Cup.
I don't see why not.
I know. I mean, we're going to see the men's, and we'll see how that works out, though. Another SpaceX rocket, the Starship, blew up again, this time over the Atlantic coast and the Bahamas. It impacted most flights out of the Florida airports and Puerto Rico airports.
Yeah.
Not a good sign for SpaceX. It's the second time it blew up within a couple of months.
In like 3 months. Right?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. But hopefully Elon Musk and crew, they can get it done better. Last week we announced that UNC and Bill Belichick will be featured in Hard Knocks. Well, the deal fell short. It didn't go through. So some sad news there. I mean, they looks like they did not want all the inside scoops and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah.
Around the Horn on ESPN will air its final show on May 23rd. That is a Friday. That's coming to a close. But now, what does that mean for ESPN programming? I have a feeling that NFL Live, which used to be an hour show, is now going to be an hour and 30-minute show. They're going to go to 5:30 and leave PTI at its 5:30 slot. That's what I personally think is going to happen.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say I haven't watched that show. But I didn't like the format of it.
No, it was just still never understood the points. Cool show, but never understood it.
Hey, listen, give him credit. It was on for like almost
30 years.
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith signs a 5-year, $100 million deal to stay with ESPN and First Take.
Boy, he's making a lot. He's making bank, that guy. He's making bank. Yeah.
Tom Yamas will take over as the new anchor and editing manager of NBC Nightly News, taking over for Lester Holt.
And I can remember, Tom Yamas started out as a beat reporter in New York for and he's come a long, long way, that guy. Good for him.
Yes, he has. Bill Ritter has announced that he will no longer do the 11 o'clock Eyewitness Newscast show for ABC7 New York. He will continue to do the 5 and 6 o'clock newscasts and Up Close, which is the Sunday morning political show for ABC7. He says he wants to spend more time with family. And Mike Marzo will take over the seat at the 11 o'clock seat.
Well, listen, that's close to our home because we had our guest Kevin Jager on a few weeks ago, who worked very closely with Bill Ritter and those guys at Eyewitness News.
Yes. And new reports came in involving the death of Gene Hackman, his wife and dog. According to reports, she likely died first due to a hantavirus, which is a disease linked to rodents. And it has been told that Mr. Hackman died a week later due to a heart disease. Keep in mind, Mr. Hackman also had Alzheimer's, so this could be a potential reason why no one was notified of the wife's death first and why he wasn't there. But still, it makes no sense. Why wasn't nobody there? Why isn't nobody taking care of her? Now, nobody called, nobody checked it. It took 2 weeks to find out. Like, there's something just is odd, really, about this whole story. And they said the dog likely died of starvation. But like I said, an odd story to see, really.
Yeah, and it was such a great career, great actor. Just to have this marred like this is terrible.
Absolutely. And now it is time for the entertainment and photo segment that is sponsored by Vital Selections. You can scan the QR code to learn more. We have your Oscars recap, Saturday Night Live stuff, and much more. Should I start, or are we going to go to you first, Jim? What do you want?
Go ahead, Eli.
All right, we'll start. Well, the Oscars had 19 million people watch over on ABC and Hulu. Conan O'Brien was phenomenal. It was a great show. And Nora took home 5 Oscars, including Best Picture, I never seen the movie. Many people I talked to never seen it. So if you've seen it, Nora, let us know. Was it a good movie or not? Jim hasn't seen it, so I guess watching Nora this weekend.
Mm.
The opening number with Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo was phenomenal. And if you have not seen the video of their performance, you have to see it because it was really, really amazing to see. That was an Oscar-winning performance right there, and
Yeah.
right, just those two with their performances. No Oscar for Timothy Chalamet. He had the yellow banana suit on, I guess you could say, the entire time sitting there. And Conclave had a good night as well. They won a couple Oscars. My parents actually seen Conclave. It was a great movie. So if you haven't seen Conclave, guess watch that too. New season of American Idol tomorrow at 8 o'clock on ABC, followed by at 10 o'clock, the $100,000 Pyramid with Michael Strahan. Happy Gilmore 2 comes out July 25th. So if you haven't seen Happy Gilmore 1, catch up on it so you can see Happy Gilmore 2 when it comes out. And Saturday Night Live is all new this weekend with Lady Gaga as your host and musical guests. This weekend, I got to see The Outsiders on Broadway. So if you haven't seen the movie, haven't seen the book, or haven't seen the Broadway play, feel free to go see it. It was an excellent show. Music wasn't the best, but great overall. The storyline, the props, the set, the stage was incredible. So if you haven't seen the movie, if you haven't read the book, then maybe go see the Broadway show. It's all great.
I definitely saw the movie many, many years ago.
Yeah. Great. Yeah.
So when we talk about movie recommendations, like I said, you've just brought up a good portion about the Oscars and so forth. And you and I were talking beforehand that the movies today aren't like the movies of yesterday.
Right.
And that's for sure. But, Turner Classic always runs this 31 days of Oscar, and they just show all Academy Award nominated movies. And I watched one of the great movies of all time, The Bridge on the River Kwai, with William Holden and Alec Guinness. It's a long movie, but it's really great. It's a World War II movie, not a violent war movie, just basically the story, and what a great movie. So if you haven't had an opportunity to see that, I know I can't get Eli to watch older type movies and so forth, but this one is worth watching.
All right. We'll get to some photos now and some stuff. I'll start off with this is a playbill and the actual stage from the Outsiders from the movie.
Oh,
they even had our name,
cool.
The school name on it, which I thought was pretty cool. On where it says Big Tulsa Welcome To. They had St. Mary's on it. You can't really see it, but it was there. With the Outsiders playbill.
Cool.
I also took part in Read Across America. We read to kids at Corpus Christi School over in Hasbrook Heights. There's me in the back. We read the book Oh, the Place You'll Go by Dr. Seuss, and we did little hot air balloon crafts with the kids. This was my group for the fourth graders for the week. For that particular
that's
day.
very cool.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yes. And
there's me at my grandson's basketball game with my granddaughter Hayden.
Yes.
Just a sweet kid. She's just beautiful. Love her to death. So this is an interesting one, Eli. We were kind of just talking. You even brought up the space rocket. I took this picture outside on my front lawn. That is the moon, and that is Venus visible like that.
Wow.
And I never, ever saw that before.
Which is Venus and which one's moon?
Venus is the one up in the higher one up in there.
Yes.
And think about how far that is away.
And you sure that wasn't no drone or airplane, Jim?
No, it wasn't. You know what? It's funny you say that because I took a couple of pictures, and one of them, there was a plane that was flying. It looked like right under the moon. But
really?
No, that is indeed Venus.
Wow. Okay. And now we have a little video.
Attaboy, Loeb. Who was that guy making that foul shot? Oh, nothing but net. That was my grandson. So
yeah.
Unfortunately, in the world of sports, you win some, you lose some. This was the playoffs for his team, and they ran into a really, really talented opponent, and it just wasn't their night. But it's so cute to see these kids that they get emotional. They just love to win. But you know what? In sports, as we've always talked about, you appreciate winning when you've had an opportunity to lose at some point in time. It's a learning experience, but they gave it all they had, and I'm just very, very proud of him. And He's going to be
Cool.
also playing in AAU, which is
Okay,
a
that's very good. Yeah.
very elite company there. So I don't know how that's going to impact his baseball season, which is right around the corner as well. So
Yeah, I mean,
the
I know
kid's
basketball.
always
The
going.
AAU is it's a big deal there. And my sister, she had her championship game last night. She did win the championship, 45-30 last night at Paramus Catholic was the game. Uh, boy, those seats at Paramus Catholic are bad. I mean, I was uncomfortable the entire time. I couldn't even move my legs. Nothing. It was
Oh,
really, they were horrible there. Made RSA
boy,
very jealous.
Paramus Catholic. It's at the scene of the crime. I used to play games against Paramus Catholic in high school football, and
Yeah.
I used to go. They had some really quality players like Rashawn Gary and uh, who was it? Peppers,
Yes.
giant guy. Not Julius Peppers. He was on the. I can't think of his first name,
Okay.
but
Tom
Jabril Pepper.
comments. He says Jupiter is also nearby. So,
Yeah, and I think also, Tom, I think Mercury was up there, but that was like at 3 in the morning. That picture I took was like at, I want to say 10 o'clock at night on the East Coast. So, we just talked about the
it's a
Rockets
light
and,
shot though.
think about
It's
how,
very light.
yeah,
It was not as dark as I thought. I mean, that's 10 o'clock at night. That's very light.
it was beautiful, beautiful,
Yeah.
crisp, clear night in the Northeast.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
All
we do
right,
have some
Eli,
notable
we got some notable passings. We do.
We do.
And a
Uh,
couple, I'll start off. A couple
Tom
that,
also says Mars.
yeah, I didn't see Mars. I'm waiting for the rocket ship. I'm going to go on the next trip, but
You're gonna
hopefully
go with
they
Katy
iron
Perry?
out the. Yeah, well, I hope they iron out the exploding rockets before I get on the plane.
So that was a question that actually popped up. Would you go on a rocket to space, whether it's on Jeff Bezos and the minute to do to floating thing, or for just the International Space Station with SpaceX? Would you do it?
Absolutely, I would.
You would,
Absolutely, I would.
and
I would.
you would, and you're not scared of like anything happening or anything. You're just gonna go for it.
Listen, we face this every day when we get in our car and drive to work. It's just, I mean, things could happen,
I
right?
mean, I would be honest
But
with you.
I would do that.
I wouldn't mind doing it if it was like the Jeff Bezos one, where you get only a couple minutes and then you're back
But
down on Earth.
couple
I
of
wouldn't.
notals we missed last actually. Wambaugh, like
Yeah.
former Los Angeles police officer, wrote on the Onion Field and stuff like that. It's really good. I actually saw the Onion Field in the movie theater many months ago. Boris Spassky. Now this kind of classifies. I guess we could say it's a sport. It's chess, right? It's a battle.
Right.
It's a competition, and he used to have legendary matches with Bobby Fischer from the United States. So
Yes.
he passed away. He was 88. And David Johansen, and you and I talked a little bit about this. I actually saw David Johansen in concert almost 44 years ago.
Yeah.
He used to play under the moniker of Buster Poindexter, but great musician, well respected. He was 75 years old.
Yeah. And I got a couple. I think my point got
Who'd I
cut off.
miss?
Oh, yeah. James Harrison, known for his many blood donations, sadly died at the age of 88. He was born in 1936. Dolly Parton's husband, Carl Dean,
Yeah,
passed
he
away
had
at the
some.
age of 82. Go for it.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up that Harrison thing because he had some sort of a rare blood type that actually
Yeah.
saved the lives of many
A lot of
children.
people.
That's certainly
Yeah.
notable.
Dolly Parton's husband, Carl Dean, passed away at the age of 82. Pitt freshman football player, defensive back
Yeah,
Mason Alexander was killed in a car crash. He was only 18 years old. And finally, Angie Stone, Grammy-nominated R&B singer, died at the age of 63. She was born in 1961. And I believe my point got cut off when I was talking about the space thing. I just want to point out, I would go to space if it's the Jeff Bezos rocket. That's like 3 minutes, not the SpaceX that you stay there forever on spaceship, International Space Station.
No.
Just a couple minutes would be fine.
Well,
Come back down.
it's
Just float
fun-
around. Get the salmon
it's kind of
astronaut.
funny you said that because we still have those two astronauts who still up in space that they haven't got. We shouldn't be sending rockets to the moon until somebody figures out a way
Gotta
to
get
go
those
get
to home.
those poor astronauts that are still sitting in space.
It's amazing. Right.
I mean, of all things, they're up there for months and months and months.
I know.
Drop everything in the space program and go
And
get those
get them,
people and bring
please.
them home.
Like,
That's my take.
gosh. Like, you're telling me no rocket. Now,
I
you
feel
have nothing
feel
ready.
terrible for those guys.
I do too.
Okay, Eli.
What a great show.
So
Oh, boy. I think we're getting cut off here, Jim.
listen, we got a lot of stuff.
Jim, are you still there? Jim?
Can you
Jim?
hear me?
Jim? You there? Jim? Okay, we might have lost Jim,
Oh,
but Jim, you there?
issues. Why does this? And see if we can get this straightened out before we sign off for the weekend. Hear me now?
A little bit.
what
How about
happened?
this? I'm gonna, if you could hear me, Jim, I'm gonna try to call you in
Let's see if
case you.
Eli
There
can
you go. There you go.
rejoin
You're
us
there.
here.
You're there. You're there. You're there.
Uh-huh. Here's my partner. You back?
Yes, I'm there. You're there.
I can hear you now, Eli.
All right, good. All right, let's sign it off.
Yeah, we had some technical issues here. We're
Sorry
going to
about
work
that.
those things out. But listen, Eli, enjoy the games. Like I said, this is a big week in college basketball, and we covered a lot of stuff today. So, and again, congratulations to your sister on the big win yesterday. It's great.
All right. Well, thank you. Well,
All
enjoy
right,
the
folks.
weekend, everybody.
So
Set the
we'll see
clocks
you
1 hour
back here.
ahead, and we'll see you Saturday, 10 o'clock
Yeah.
next week.
Yeah, and if you don't set your clocks ahead next week, you're going to miss the show by an hour.
Right.
So set
Right.
your
So,
clock.
be sure to set your
All right,
clock. You have a
Eli,
whole week
enjoy
to
your
prepare.
weekend.
All right,
Thanks,
take care, everyone.
everybody. And
Bye-bye.
always send us an email at sportswithmonoandmono@gmail.com.
All right. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
See you guys.